Okay, so could you please give us a brief introduction of yourself and your career, how you got here?
Okay, my name is Melvina. Melvina Quartey. I'm from Ghana. I lived in Ghana my whole life until moving here to the US in 2023 in August to pursue my PhD in aeronautical engineering or aerospace engineering. Um, Prior to that, I'm somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's bestie. Like, yeah, I'm a regular girl living a regular life, just enjoying myself, learning, growing, enjoying. I'm an extrovert, so I love people. I love people a lot, and I like talking. If you leave me, I'll talk for a very long time. Just give me a topic that I actually know something about, and I'm gonna be talking. So yeah, that's me.
Well, that's nice. And you mentioned you're doing your PhD in aerospace engineering. How did you
Yeah.
get? Is it something you've enjoyed from maybe childhood?
So from childhood, okay. So I should flow in a backstory. Okay, childhood, me and my friends studying for exams. Like school is what we are doing. Like you just go to school. Like let me just give a background. I think I'm privileged to have been in the part of Ghana, like the capital of Ghana, in a place like that. There's nothing really about you feeling like no one is making you feel less than anyone for your gender or anything. It's the capital. I feel like it's very like forward. So my school, you would find that maybe the top three in the class is probably all girls. Like the boys would be like from like the ninth and the 10th. Sorry to all my male friends in school, like they're smart. I feel like in basic school, the boys just like are more chill and the girls are more like trying to prove something. And because the boys that were in my class who were passing them in class and everything, I see them doing really great things currently. Like I feel like they were just like chilling for us. But we're also like really good and we still are. But basically I was in a good school and I had good friends who were very serious. I was in company of girls who took their education seriously. Like we used to like America's Next Top Model and all those things too on the side. But that's like when we close school. But like when we are like within the school hours, we are paying attention, we are doing our homework, we are getting all the grades, we are doing very well. And I realized in my JHS 3, that's like over here is what 12th? No, that's like ninth grade.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
realized that I did a math exam and I got 99%. I was like, yo, then if that 1%, the teacher, it was the teacher, because he gave me two halves for like one. I think one of them is like the last answer I got, I had 2/4, and I went on to write 1/2. And he said I didn't cancel the two, like I didn't do that. Like, I want to see inside my brain. He said because I didn't like show working. I'm like, bro, I literally showed her the work. So he took a half point and then another half point somewhere. So it was stuff like that. And I remember people were talking about it, like, hey, you got 18. I was like, that paper, like I was the only one, I was like the highest scoring in that exam, a math paper. And I felt like, yeah, I like the science more. I felt like more of the religious and moral education and all the other courses, social studies. I used to try, I really felt like I was good at it. I would write everything I want to write, and the teacher would not give me the marks that like, I feel like I deserve, because I feel like I'm explaining it based on how I understand maybe colonization, like what happened, the effect. But it's like, yo, I felt like the math and the physics were more straightforward. Like you can't go wrong. Like if it's that. But for the other stuff, they were more subjective to say.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's just go for the straightforward stuff. So in high school, I went to do science, and my father wanted me to be a doctor. Why did you want to be a doctor, coach? I don't like those things. Like today, I literally cut a mouse and made someone take it because I can't even look at it. Like I can't even. So I don't want to be a doctor. Like if you come with an injury, the two of us will cry together. Right? I feel like if you come and you say your head is aching, I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. What should I do? Because I'll be so like what is it, empathic, empathetic? I don't know which word to use, but
That's okay.
it's too much. I feel things. I feel too much. So I didn't want to do that. So my father, I mean, my father is a no pressure kind of guy. I mean, he's a sanguine. doesn't take things too seriously. He wants you to be a doctor, but if you say you will be a doctor, he's not gonna do anything about it. And I think all of these things, I just feel like I was blessed to have all these things work out for me in this way. Because many people are there who enter a field because their parents made them and they don't like it and they're dying there. So that wasn't me. So me, I was just like allowed to explore. So when I went to school, to high school, a science student, you typically have your biology, physics, chemistry, math. I didn't do biology. I went to take geography intentionally. So my father got to know, like, on visiting day, like, after they dropped me in the school and I chose my course, like, he knew I was doing science, so he knew general science, but I swapped the biology for geography to just solidify my stance. Because when you do that, you cannot enter the Ghanaian universities to do medicine, because medicine you require biology. Like, our system in Ghana is very straightforward. It's like everything is so straight cut. Like, there's really no little. There's very little room for flexibility. Like, you come here and you see that someone in high school did poetry and literature and this thing, and then they're entering medicine. You're like, what? In Ghana, like, if you're going to, like, if you know what you're going to do from there, you have to start now. Like, there's no room for like mixing and matching or finding yourself. Like, you don't even have time to find yourself. Like, make a decision. It's like when you're at a, there's always like every 3 years there's like a crossroads and you're supposed to decide. So like after junior high school, crossroad, you're going to high school, choose science, arts, business, home economics, visual arts. Once you choose one, there's kind of like no turning back. If you go into art, you can never be an engineer again. Unless you go abroad and like or something. But like so it's like every 3 years it's like, have you decided now? And I'm that kind of person who goes to a restaurant and sits down, and when the waitress comes 2 or 3 times, I've still not decided what I want. So imagine. So when we're finishing high school, now we have done with the science, with geography. Now I know I'm gonna do engineering. Now which one? I don't know. So I was just talking with a teacher, and the teacher was like, try aerospace. I was like, okay. And I found out like aerospace is actually really cool. Like I just felt like honestly, I just felt like it was like a vibe, like it was a steez. Like aerospace, yeah, let's do it. I can do it. And my math and my physics too were strong. So I was like, okay, I see myself doing that. I see myself like doing something really cool, even though it was very like silly. My father was like, there's no aerospace industry in Ghana. What are you doing? I was like, who's that? Talking about a global scale, like I can, like I was imagining, I was seeing a bigger picture, like not being sure. Of course, if there's no industry in Ghana, we can bring one. I feel like everything starts somewhere, and so I was like, let me do something crazy. Like I'm hearing all these prophecies and these words like about things I will do. Maybe this is it. This is my moment. So I went to aerospace in KNUST, and I was among a bunch of crazy people who went to do aerospace in KNUST because everybody looked at you like, why are you even doing this? But it was a good program. I think it was a good introduction. And when I was done, I wanted more. So I applied for a PhD. So that's how come I'm where I am right now.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, that was a wonderful backstory.
Yeah, my what? Becoming origin.
Really nice. Yeah, that's a great origin story. It's like very daring. And
Yeah.
what would you say is the part of aerospace engineering that you've enjoyed the most so far?
I think okay, right now I'm into fluid mechanics.
Okay.
So I think fluid mechanics. So in my undergrad there was more of I did fluid mechanics in terms of like a general mechanical engineering perspective because the aerospace department was the aerospace course was within the mechanical engineering department and then aerodynamics. And amongst all my courses, I felt like even though the aerodynamics honestly wasn't very easy, but I was by God's grace, I was doing good at it. But I still felt like there were a lot of gaps in my understanding. But the more I read the book, the more I think the book by John Anderson, like Dr. John Anderson, like he's the author of like a very popular book in aerodynamics. If you mention aerodynamics, anyone who really has studied it will know that book. And I feel like his writing style was just so easy to follow. Not easy, but like it was worth it. It made following the book worth it because you could tell that the writer wants you to understand something. You know, like you could feel a connection. Like I've not met him before, but he's talking to me. Like he explains in between the equations. I'm like, this guy, I want to write like him one day. Yeah, so I think that was the course among all the stuff I learned that I connected with. Was for me, it's like everything is more like transactional. Like let's get these grades for my undergrad life. That doesn't work here. But but that was the only course that I felt like it was more than just getting the grades. And so when I came here, that's what I was looking at immediately. At first, I was thinking about going into more theoretical, but now I'm entering computational. So right now, my work or my research, which I'm now starting, like I've started with literature review, is more of computational fluid dynamics, where yeah, so trying to develop new algorithms as computation is changing in the world. Yeah.
So fluid dynamics, what is it really focused on?
Fluid dynamics is focused on fluids. Like relax. It's focused on the science of how fluids move, how they work. So fluids are very broad. It ranges from like liquids, like hydrodynamics. So fluid dynamics has like a lot of things. Like whatever liquid you think about, you can model it in fluid dynamics. So we have an area called hydro, that's like water, hydrodynamics, and whatever aerodynamic, that's air, because air is a fluid.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So it's like fluid mechanics. But fluid mechanics, of course, when you talk about mechanics, you're talking about statics and dynamics.
Okay.
That's when you talk about mechanics, like the mechanics of something is basically how it is, whether it's stationary or it's moving.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's all so fluid mechanics is under classical mechanics, kind of like that. And
Oh.
then, I mean, like at least the postulates of it currently are under classical dynamics, classical mechanics, and then fluid mechanics itself is broken down into every mechanical system has statics and dynamics about it. And so we are talking about aerodynamics specifically because aerodynamics is what explains how aircrafts move in the air. Like talking about generating lift. People say it's magic. Well, the forces of lift, drag, and thrust, and the weight, and how we are able to do the magic of making planes fly. Most of it started from aerodynamics. I mean, there's propulsion and there's other areas, but aerodynamics was just the most fascinating thing to me. Like airfoils, how you shape them, why you have to make a body streamline, what is the best shape or outline for you to get the most efficient lift with less drag. And I find it fascinating because I believe that focusing designing more efficient systems and even making the process of design more efficient would help us to reduce carbon emissions because when you're more aerodynamic, you're thinking about reducing drag. And if you're reducing drag, you're burning less fuel. You don't need because you need more fuel when you want to overcome more drag. It's like something is pulling you back and you want to push forward. So you need to burn more, right, to push forward. Especially when your aircraft is heavier and stuff like that. So basically, how can we be more efficient so that we burn less fuel? So aerodynamics is a very important um, thing to study in the aerospace industry to help the world. And as I said from the beginning, I'm just somebody who likes people, who happens to be not so bad at physics and math. So I'm like, let me use it to help people. So that's basically it. Yeah.
Oh, it's wonderful. And what are some of the goals that you plan to achieve in the nearest future in your
My
industry?
PhD. Yeah, it's a 5 year journey. Really a 5 year journey. You can spend a little longer,
Mhm.
but hopefully I want to get it done within the 5 years. I came in with a bachelor, so it's 5 years. If I came with a master's, it would have been like 3 years. So, I mean, that the PhD is like the summary goal, but the action items within it is like actually like developing something. Like in my literature reviews, actually finding a gap and filling it up. I think I think growing up more has made me realize that you can only do so much. Like normally when you're younger, you feel like I'm going to change the world. I'm going to do her me, I'll invent the new aircraft. Relax. Aircraft is so complex, but you can do one thing. Like that's how engineering is. You just you dig and dig and dig and find one thing and focus your attention on it, depending on how long it takes. Sometimes it requires some people's life work. Sometimes it requires you like you're just like serendipitously able to find something quicker, but doing something that will just advance it, just nudge the available knowledge a little bit push it the extent a little bit, and someone can build on what you did, and you've done a lot. So I want to do something. I want to write papers within this period that would encourage other people to also size those papers and also do more and build more. Right now, we are talking about quantum computing as like the new era in computing. It's like a shift, and we are trying to see whether quantum computers have quantum advantage, which is trying to develop algorithms and systems to compute stuff faster and more efficiently, use less energy in our computation, be able to produce results or churn out our numbers in less time. Because we have supercomputers and stuff, and they are really great, but like some tasks are more complex than some. Like in CFD, just modeling the turbulence of a system. Like as the scale increases, the computational time like increases exponentially with an increase in scale, and so it makes it take a longer time for you to actually like have your calculations or have your simulation run. And we are doing simulations because simulations are cheaper than actually running like real life experiments. Some of these experiments like burn a lot of gases and stuff as well. So we want to just run them on the computer at least to get rid of some of the preliminary steps before you maybe do your last test. Instead of doing like 10 different tests in the environment. You understand? You want to cut down those things. And so that's when CFD is like really helpful. It's cheaper, it's time saving, and it also saves the environment. But even with saving the environment, some of the computers still need power. Like these supercomputers, the cost of them is it still has some cost on the environment in terms of like the energy required. We are burning stuff to produce those energies. And so we want to use quantum computers that hopefully would burn less energy, would require less storage and all of those things. So that's what we are looking into, seeing whether we actually can get this quantum advantage. And quantum computers are different from classical computers. And so the systems they run on, they need different kinds of they are different basically. So they are still being researched in terms of the codes for these CFD or these simulators. And so that's what I'm learning. It's a
It's nice.
very interesting field. Yeah.
And
Heavy math and physics. But it's
it's
interesting.
nice. And what does CFD stand for, please?
CFD is computational fluid dynamics. So the fluid dynamics I talked about,
Yeah,
the equations that you calculate on pen and paper, you
yeah.
cannot listen to like there's one major equation in CFD called in fluid dynamics called the Navier-Stokes equation. It's a millennium problem actually. There's it's been out there for a long time that if you're able to solve those equations, you get like $1 million. And the reason why it's difficult is because no, it's not like a joke, it's like a real thing. the reason why the reason why it's so difficult because it's a nonlinear equation. Like it's a nonlinear partial differential equation. So it's really difficult to solve. And so every solution of it that people are using is to some level of approximation. And even in the classical computer, they use uh, numerical systems to solve it. That means instead of solving the actual equation, they simplify it or try to like discretize it to solve it because like it's really hard to solve it. And so we are just exploring how quantum computers can also help in the solution of these things with better approximations than what we have. Because everything we solve in CFD is is approximate to some extent, but of course some approximations are better than some. So the aircrafts are still safe even though like there are a lot of approximations. So when you enter the aircraft, you just have to say, Lord Jesus, help us. No, but it's safe. It's safe because these scientists are smart and we make approximations that we know are safe, that we know are worth doing. But it's not like 100% accurate system. Yeah. So we're just increasing.
Okay, that's nice. And what are your thoughts on retaining and encouraging more females in aerospace and also in the STEM fields in general?
Yeah. I thought so, yeah. Honestly, I've always never doubted that. I mean, I believe in intellectual. Okay, yeah. Let me not be. How do I put it? I believe that men and women we are different, but we have a lot of things that are the same. And I believe intellectually, there's nothing that says that ladies are intellectually inferior to men. Nothing of the sort. Maybe we tend to be emotional and more self-sensitive in some areas, which is just like, I think it's just biology and hormones and stuff. But oh yeah, I one thing I don't do is neglect the science and the reality of stuff. I'm not going to be emotional and say we are the same, we are equal, we are different. But I would rather say it's kind of like equivalent, like in terms like I'm pushing for equity. And some things are there that yo, we can all do the math. It's not a gender thing. Physics is not a gender thing. It's rather individual. So some people they love it, some people they don't. And so what I believe is people who are willing to do the science and math and the engineering and all those things, allow them to do it. Allow them to do it. The women should be allowed to do it. And so this initiative that Swiss is doing, do you say Swiss? Swiss.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
UIS. Swiss is doing. It's beautiful because ladies need to be encouraged and inspired to know that they can. And some people, how would they know unless, I mean, when I read my Bible, like there's a scripture that says, how would they know? Like, unless someone tells them. So people don't know stuff because they just don't know. For lack of knowledge, people perish. And I feel like people are there are ladies in some communities who don't venture into science and math, not because they cannot do it, but because they just don't know that there is a world out there that is beyond where they live.
Mm.
And so when we spread, it's kind of like evangelism, talking to people about it. But then when I also think about it, then there's also the other side of the coin where there are these girls who feel inferior to girls who are in STEM because they feel like I should be in STEM. I'm like, no, if you are not a STEM girly, it's fine. Like I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. Like I have friends who I have a friend who jokes about the computer confuses her, but she's really great at a lot of things, mobilizing people, leading teams and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you still have to learn your computer, but you don't have to be a dedicated like STEM girl. Like do what you like. I feel like intrinsically we have skills that just need to shine and need to pop out. And all I'm for is people no one's skill being hidden, no one's potential being limited to where they live or where they are. I was so blessed to be in a place where I didn't have that kind of inhibitions. But I know places, and even in Ghana, if you travel further up or into places that are more remote or more rural, where the girls are being forced into marriage at younger ages,
Mm.
girls are being limited when they are. But if you talk with these people, you see that they are smart. Like one example, like my grandmother, like she didn't go to school that much. I don't think she originally went to school. But if you talk with her, you can see that if she had the chance, she probably would have been very good at this, like these things. You understand? But you can see that she has the intuition of science and math, but she just didn't have like she doesn't know what they are. She doesn't know Navier-Stokes equation. She doesn't know any of these things. But there's some people too who they've gone to see the equation and like it's not going well. Sister, if it's not going well, doesn't matter. Go and do it. Do what you're good at. So I feel like it's all about people finding what they are good at, but nobody being limited in being allowed to do it. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Thank you so, so much. It's been a wonderful time
Yeah.
interviewing you. Thank you so much for your time.